Namaste, 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 and welcome, welcome to Awakenings Moments to Inspire. My name is Angela Stanfield, but please call me Angel. I am just so happy to be here with you, excuse me, today on this glorious Thursday morning. It's been quite a week. I'm sure many of you have felt the energies out there. You know what is in the air, and you're feeling it just as much as I am. And so that's part of what we want to talk about today, but we'll get back into that a little bit more. So I just wanted to say welcome to everybody here, and welcome them in, give them a moment to come in, get yourself settled, and let's have a great co-creative hour together. So it is going to be a fabulous day. Um, what I usually like to do in order to begin our co-creative hour together is to do some deep Avesa breaths. And for those of you who may not know what Avesa is, it's very simple, very easy. It's an inhale through your nose and an exhale out your mouth. But the inhale through your nose is hail. You think hail. And ave, what does ave mean? Hail, that's what ave means. So you think hail on the ave on the inhale, and that means hail or hello, or it's a greeting of respect. And the saw is an exhale of a release or a surrender to the moment, to what is in front of you, to the tasks that you are about to begin. It just allows you to calm and center yourself so that you can move forward complete, whole body, mind, and soul. So we'll do 3 deep Avesa breaths, and then afterwards, don't forget to smile. This is a very important thing that many of us forget to do because we're so caught up in the breathing and the feelings of it. But when you add that smile on the end, it's just like the cherry on top. So Master Lady Kira Ra always says, make sure you smile at the end. And it does, it gives you this bubbly effervescence feeling, at least it does for me anyway, when I do that smile at the end. So we'll do 3 deep Avesa breaths, and then we will move on with the show. Great. So hands to your heart, and remember, inhale through your nose, exhale out your mouth. And just think of this golden light filling you all up. And don't forget to smile. All right, here we go. Ave. 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 And smile. There we are. Namaste, Lynn. Welcome, welcome. And that just reminds me as well. Thank you, Lynn. The chat is open. We are broadcasting live at onenesstalkradio.com, Oneness Talk Radio YouTube, and Oneness Talk Radio Facebook. And I believe all of those things have chats. All of those streaming services have chats. So, and they get brought right directly to here to me. And that's what this show is all about, is this co-creativeness between you and I and the universe, right? So I would love to hear from you. Just put it in the chat. And anything that you have to share about what's been going on with you in the past week, and or maybe 2 weeks, because many of you weren't able to catch me live last week. Maybe I'll give a little explanation about that. And but how has this last week or so been for you? And I'd like to maybe do a deep dive into some of the energies here today, that's been going on around us. It's been a little interesting. I don't know about you, but it's been a bit interesting for me. Um, Before we begin, I usually like to begin with just letting everyone know what the energies of today is, what the ascended numerology for today is, right? And for those of you who may not know what ascended numerology is, please go to shriankira.com, and you can learn much more about it from there. But in an essence, it is the numerology that is subscribed to your soul's journey in this life. lifetime. So it helps you fill out your day. But it's not just that, the universe has numbers as well. Your date of birth, dates have numbers, times have numbers. It's just a fascinating science. And it's been an honor to learn from Master Lady Kira Ra. The number for today, which I thought was absolutely brilliant, was the equilateral cross, a number 4. And for those of you who follow Shri and Kira, you might know that the equilateral cross is the still point center of masculine and feminine balance, but it also can mean much more than that. It can mean just balance within yourself and within your own field and your own being, right? And so today is a 4 in ascended numerology. And that means it's a 4 equilateral cross of perfect balance. It is the still point in the cross. That is what is today. The still point in the middle with which we can use the energies that help us to reestablish our equilibrium. Claim that stillness and allow this energy to aid you in reestablishing peace, love, and joy, and allow it to flow into your life. Release judgment, old life scripts, and embrace your compassionate witness in order to heal and let go of what no longer serves you. The strength and still point of the cross is with us today. Know you are fully supported as you maintain and regain balance inside and out. And that's what came to me this morning when I was feeling into the number 4 in the equilateral cross of perfect balance. What also I felt compelled to do too, which was something I don't normally do on this show, but I did feel compelled this morning to do it. And that was to pull my tarot cards. Now, I use my tarot not necessarily as a divination tool for others, but more for my own private use and my own private counseling, I think would be a good word for it. And so today I felt compelled to pull one, and I thought, oh, okay, no problem. Let's co-create together. And so I shuffled and I simply asked, what is the message that we were wanting to receive today from my cards? My cards actually are the ancient Egyptian tarot. So even that just plays in again to the cross of perfect balance with the Ankh. It was just beautiful. So here's my card, and I don't know if you can see it, but it is, oop, there we go. It is the world. And I thought that again was perfect because the world card is the ultimate ascension card in tarot. The world is your completion. You have ascended and are able to maintain that level of ascension. Here, I'll just grab what I wrote here. It is perfection, completion, harmony. Objectives are achieved. There is a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment, but there is a moving on and an end of the era. To me, the world card, which again, I'll just quickly show you, is the epitome of where you are when you reach that cross of perfect balance. You are able to, and again, for those of you who might know the cross and the shield of Zadkiel, right dead point in the center, that's that center point, that stillness point, and that's where the world opens up and you can begin to achieve. But not only that, I love the symbolism on the card as well, because we have the spectrum of the Vesica Pisces around there, which is has all the light spectrums on there, and it's shining in on the world achiever. And not only that, she's wrapped in a velvet fog of violet with the 4 elements or the 4 corners on either side of her. Again, cross of perfect balance, standing at century. And I don't know if you can see it, but right at the top, there is an Ankh as well. So again, cross of perfect balance. But to me, the world is where the world card is that point of satisfaction and completion within in yourself that you're able to hold and maintain out into the world around you. And that is the cross of perfect balance, that still point in the middle, that you can maintain your flow and you can go out into the world and not necessarily be affected by it as much. And you're able to see and lift beyond and become that witnesser that Master Lady Kira Ra likes to talk about all the time. It's that release of judgment and that compassion that just brings in that flow of energy. So when I was called to do that and then I pulled it, I thought, absolutely perfect. Universe, once again, you know what you're doing. I will add one little caveat in here. We are getting storms all around us. And as most of you have who have watched the show now for a wee while have come to realize that my internet is not the greatest. So if I do end abruptly, that is why. It's just simply because the thunderstorm has taken over and the goddess has just brought down the rain and we have lost our electricity. So hang in there. Hopefully we'll get through the show in its entirety, but we'll fingers crossed, right? So today I wanted to talk about something rather heavy, or most people see it as heavy. And with the energies out there right now, to me, what I've been feeling in the past week is what I like to call this start and stop, start and stop, start and stop. And there's been that old oppression or the old life scripts are starting to come in. I don't know if that's been out there with any of you. If you have been struggling with your life scripts and have been struggling with that inner voice that feeds you fear and doubt all the time, put it in the chat. Share with us how you're going through it, how you're working through it. We can bounce these things off each other and learn from each other. That is part of what this show is the inspiration that we get while being within the community and the chat itself. So if you're struggling, if you're having life script problems, or if you're having the voices in your head selling of fear and doubt, put it in the chat. Tell us how you deal with it. I'd love to hear, right? But the show today is titled finding or using darkness and to find the light. And that's pretty much what this past week has been for me. It has been challenges of old life scripts coming up, physical challenges within the house, actually losing hydro for several days, and just one thing after the other, and each one gets a little heavier and a little heavier and a little heavier, unless you're able to, for me, feel into it, acknowledge it, see it, understand it, and know that that's not you anymore, right? That's the old Angela, the old Lynn, the old Gary, the old, Kim, the old everybody who's out there and who is struggling with all these things. Ernie, Serge, Ronald, you all know who you are. These life scripts that we have in our head, we have to remember, right? That these aren't necessarily from us. These aren't our life. They're in our head, and it's usually our voice that we hear in our head. But where have we ever stopped and taken a deep breath and felt into where they're coming from, where those dark feelings of fear and doubt are coming from, and where they might be? And when you release the judgment and you open yourself to compassion, you can see the gifts within the darkness that allows you to bounce and use as a trampoline that can send you up into the light. And that's the kind of the darkness that's the best kind of dark. I guess that's the best way to put it. When you are able to stop, see yourself and lift and open up and look around and see that you're all right, everything's okay, and all is truly well, and that you're just making these up in your mind, the life scripts, you begin to release them. And so when I was feeling into what I wanted to talk about today, um, I really wanted to feel into what the yoga of self-ascension meant to me and how it has aided me in viewing the darkness and finding the light. And when I felt into this, this is what I wrote. What the yoga of self-ascension means to me. So yoga means union, right? So the union of self, the union of self-ascension. That's basically what it means. And so for me, it's the union of self, and with compassion and release of judgment. We do what we must to go deep within who we are, past, present, future, generational, past, present, future, to see those wounds for what they are, to love them for the gifts that they have given us, regardless of the shade, being light or dark. And for all the gifts, light or dark, for all our love. Dark shows you the joy and the brightness of the light. And if you can hang on to even that small gift of gratitude, to know that the darkness shows you it's just the opposite, and is showing you the darkness is showing you the light and what you truly want in life and what you definitely don't want in life, right? So how do we release that? How do we get through the darkness? What does the darkness show us that we can use to lift ourselves out of? And that's I wrote down a few ideas here. Um, the darkness shows us strength. It can bring out the compassion for self and others. We see the mirror in others and we open ourselves up and find the compassion in that state of, I've been there and I understand. So when you find yourself in a negative situation and you can see, let's set this up. You're at the grocery store and there is a person that is very upset and is complaining about something, or um, you can see that they're tense and they're anxious, and you can understand why. They may have 3 kids on their hip and trying to balance a checkbook and whatever the case may be, and you can sit there and, rather than being annoyed because you're stuck behind this person in the checkout line, right? You can let that go and say, "Oh, I've been there." And maybe even lend a hand, offer to mind the kids while she sorts out the her wallet or whatever the case may be. But even just something simple like that, taking that annoyance where it's like, "Oh, wait a minute. I have been there before and I wish that there had been someone kind enough to step in and to lend me a hand." And lo and behold, you can be that person, right? You can use that negative feeling that's inside of you to say, "No, no, no. I know what that's like. I understand." So that's a very simple example, but you can go much deeper and much more personal with that as well. If you're having family struggles, one member of the family just doesn't understand you, or vice versa. You can, I'm not saying agree with them. I'm not saying let them walk over you, but you can understand where they're coming from so that you don't have to add fuel to the fire of misunderstanding and darkness that might be clouding what everyone's trying to talk about or see or say, right? When our emotions get heated, um, which is part of why I call it the darkness, is when we get those hot, heated emotions. We've been taught to think, at least women, I don't know if this is true for men, shout out there, please, if this is true, but we've been thought to kind of not to let the darkness be shown in our emotions in a lot of ways. Or if it is, we're usually seen as bitchy or whatever it may be. um, so women usually kind of keep their emotions and their feelings tamped down quite a bit, um, for others, and that can cause a lot of feelings and anxieties inside. So again, you can use that knowing and that understanding of where that's coming from in order to release it and then to feel in and aid other people in their lives. That's the best part about your darkness, is learning from it, right? And I don't even like to use the word darkness. It works great for a title of a show, but it's not really truly darkness. It's just the opposite of light, which is no light, I guess. Um, but it's not that true darkness that we think or feel that is deep down inside of us, that those fears and doubts that we listen to in our heads, that sets off that level inside of us, because that's really not the level that it's at. That's your ego's job, is to take care of you, right? It's to let you know what might hurt you and might not hurt you. But it's collected up so many life scripts and piled so many things one on top of the other. It's afraid of everything. So it thinks everything is darkness and that you need to be careful and yet you need to watch out and that you need to learn and no, you just need to say thank you to the darkness. Close your eyes, shut out any sounds that might be intruding. Take a deep Avesa breath. And I like to find that little child, that little person who might have received that life script for the very first time, who might have received that perspective that's not theirs to begin with, even that perspective of what is dark and what is light. And when I am able to stop and see that child, the child who received that first script, usually they're quite young. Usually the being I see in front of me is between the ages of 2 and 10. And when that happens, when a child comes to you and is crying and needs to have something solved, and you just want to be able to solve the problem. And in some cases you can, right? You can fix the wound, you can fix the boo-boo. And in other cases, all you can do is just hold the space for hold the child and hold space for that child until they come to a realization themselves that everything's okay, right? Have you ever been around a child that that's happened to, where they've might have fallen down and hurt themselves, or they've done something that they perceive as being bad or wrong, and they come crying to you and they're very upset and their whole world seems absolutely shattered, and you just want to scoop them up and make it all better. Um, and you talk to them, you reassure them, you understand. What's the one thing we don't do? We don't scold the child. They're upset, right? So we shouldn't scold ourselves. Of course, that's what we do all the time. But when we see that little inner child that is us, there's no way we can feel like we can't scold that being, right? It's just a child. Well, you were a child when you received it, and when you can, so back to when I was talking about, um, kids when they finally realize that they've, through the tears and the hiccups and the the sobbing, they come to a realization that I'm okay. And then have you ever seen the joy that's on their face afterwards? I'm okay. No, everything's okay. And then they start giggling and laughing. That is what you can do for your own inner child if you can learn to feel into yourself without judgment. I think judgment's probably the key key point here is the release of judgment. It's so hard. Um, again, who's doing the judging? First of all, where did the judgment come from in the first place? Again, is it a life script that came from you, or did it come from somebody else, right? So, oh, big thunder. Um, where is your so what? Let me back up a moment. I just got to read my script, my notes here. Where's my right here? Yeah. Think of the light in a child's eyes after they have a fright, but then realize that all is truly well. And they usually giggle with glee in a newfound joy, and they have this kind of sparkle in their eye. This is your inner child. This is who you want to talk to and who you want to speak to. And when they get that understanding, you'll feel this release. It just, for me, it's like a whoosh that comes down from the top of my head and goes out the bottom of me. And it's like a breeze almost. It feels like that. And it's just the most amazing thing. But it's looking into the eyes of yourself as that small child and realizing that you are okay, that you're an adult now, everything's fine. And what did that child learn and experience over the course of having that idea in their head? In some cases, it can be helpful. It might have saved them from getting into a car with a bad person. But in other cases, being open and loving and free is just where you want to be, is your inner child. Your inner child is the core of who you are and who you've become. And once you can let go of the darkness that it holds, so many things can open up for you. And that's really what I wanted to convey today for you. And the key with that is definitely just holding yourself in gratitude that for so many things, you've learned from these things, you've gotten strength from these things, you're able to see the darkness and acknowledge it for what it is. That in and of itself, you should be amazed by and congratulate yourself and love yourself wholly and utterly, because you are able to lift above that and see it and heal it. And yeah, just even seeing the darkness is key to begin with. The other thing that I noticed about darkness or the shadows that we have inside is usually they're caused a lot by our own attachments to things that we think we need, that we want in life, that we are holding on to. And in a lot of cases where we're not willing to get honest and clear with ourselves. And I think that definitely has been a lesson this week for me, is getting clear and honest with myself and where I'm coming from and where these darkness is coming from. And it is. And once you get down to it all, it's just simply life scripts. And the trick to that is stop, feel them, feel that inner child, love that inner child, thank that inner child for the joy that it's brought you and the experience that you have achieved because of that child. And from there, the darkness can be released. It truly